Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be set dates when she reaches out. Well, I've got an email here from a viewer who started dating his ex-girlfriend from 2 years ago, what I like to refer to as heating up leftovers. He started doing everything right from the beginning. She started reaching out to him, and then when she did, he would set dates. Well, then along the way, what happened was he started to like her more and more, was thinking, hey, let's get back together, this is great. He started to pursue and chase more, and it got to the point where she started ignoring his phone calls, his texts, and his messages. Then he would back off, and she would start reaching out to him again. Well, recently, after this happened, she reached out to him again, and instead of making dates, he pretty much just ignored her phone calls. And then when he did respond, instead of setting a date, he just said, hey, well, when you figure out your schedule, get in touch with me. And what he was basically doing wrong was that he was not setting a definite date when she reached out. And this is happening, why? Because he doesn't know my book very well. I talk about this all the time. I talk about my phone sessions. I talk about in email coaching. I talk about in these video newsletters. I talk about it in articles on my website. You got to learn the fundamentals. And this is what happens when you don't learn the fundamentals. And so he told her to get in touch instead of making a date when she was reaching out, and he should have assumed she was ready to make a date. And so instead he kind of blew her off. He didn't hear from her for a week. Then he reached out again, which was not congruent with what he had told her. And then he kind of went into creepy stalker mode and started over pursuing her. And then she just stopped responding in the middle of the conversation. So we're going to go through his email and analyze what he did right and what he did wrong, and now what he needs to do potentially to turn things around now that his ex has gone cold once again. So I have a quote that I wrote on this particular topic, and I'm going to go through his email. And the quote says, since feminine energy is about bonding, connecting, opening up to receive love, nurturing, being close, etc., when a woman feels safe and comfortable with a man, and as her attraction for him grows, she will naturally and instinctively call, text, email, and reach out to him more than he does to her in order to deepen their connection and emotional bonding. It's a scientific fact that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. And in this article on the page of my website, I'll actually give you a link to that scientific study that was done a few years ago, so you can go check it out for yourself if you're so inclined. He says, therefore, and I continue on, therefore, when a woman reaches out to a man, he should assume that she wants to see him and make a date. Hang out, have fun, hook up. A man should focus on creating a great date, i.e., a fun-filled romantic opportunity for sex to happen, and leave the relationship and commitment talk for a woman to bring up when she is emotionally ready for it to happen. When a woman reaches out to a man and he is cold, rude, indifferent, doesn't make a date, etc., she will start to feel like he does not care about her anymore, which is basically what this guy did wrong. This will cause her to feel hurt, rejected, and undesirable to him. Women don't want responsibility for making dates or making plans, but what they will do is contact the men they are interested in hopes that they will feel the same and want to see them by being direct, decisive, and making a definite date. Men should treasure and show their appreciation for women who reach out to them first by making dates to see them. This will grow their attraction and cause them to reach out even more frequently. That's how a relationship will effortlessly and naturally blossom. If a woman is chasing after you, she ain't going to be dumping you. And what that really does to a man is it really helps his confidence, because you don't have to worry about getting rejected when she's all over you trying to get a hold of you. It makes things really easy, puts things on autopilot, and then as a man, you can focus on your purpose and your mission in life without worrying about your girl or what's going right or what's going wrong, because she's always reaching out to you because you're doing everything right. So let's go through his email. He says, hi Corey, first off, you're the best. I'm almost finished reading your book for the first time now, and you showed me so much I'm doing wrong already. Troubles in Paradise. Since 2.5 months ago, I started seeing my 22-year-old ex-girlfriend from 2 years ago, It was all about fun, and somewhere along the way, she already started talking about living together and stuff. I really love spending time with her, but limited the get-togethers to once a week. She lives about an hour drive away. Isn't it great how the train horn just starts fucking blowing? What the fuck? I don't think anybody rides a fucking train anyways. She was always the one pursuing me, but as my interest level grew, I started chasing her more. That took no longer than 4 to 6 days, because as I noticed, this drove her away, ignoring my calls. I backed off immediately, not speaking to her at all during the weekend, and before she would contact me multiple times a day. So it's obvious she started to go cold, and he did the right thing by backing off. But again, this is really happening because he hasn't read the book 10 to 15 times. You watch a few videos here and there, it's like you learn enough just to be kind of dangerous. But you're going to get confused because there's so many different things. Sometimes I'm talking about things and attracting a woman you're just developed, it's brand new, you've never had any experience. Other times it's re-attracting an ex, someone who blew you off completely. And even other times it's situations like this where the guy, well actually in this particular case, he's re-attracting an ex, but there's other times where a guy just starts dating a woman, starts to pursue a little too much, texts a little too much, kind of like what this guy is doing here, and she backs off and goes cold. And so each situation is a little different, but that's why I go through these in the video newsletter, so you know how to correctly apply the principles that hopefully you're learning because you're reading the book 10 to 15 times. He says, so she texted Monday, sorry for being absent. So this is after she basically blew him off. And she didn't text him back for 2 days. Sorry for being absent. Got a lot of stuff on my mind, and it's all going fast for me. I'm really crazy about you, actually, but something is emotionally blocking me. You gotta remember, he's re-attracting an ex from 2 years ago. And so in her mind, she's thinking, wow, things are so much easier and so much more effortless. But I remember how things ended a couple years ago. So her heart is saying, hey, this is great, let's pursue this. And her mind is going, well, wait a minute. I don't know, this is the same guy that things didn't work out with 2 years ago. That's why it's so important to let her come to the conclusion on her own that she wants to see you more and more. You try to force it, it'll blow up in your face. It's got to be her idea. So she continues on, sorry for not involving or texting you more, with a little smiley face. After seeing many of your videos, I reacted indifferent. Hey, no problem, babe. When you figure it out, just give me a call and we'll set a date. I'll try and cook your favorite meal and we can cuddle under the blanket you got me last week. Her response was, oh, okay. So the reason you back off and do nothing, it's like the game of tennis. You hit the ball over the net. You wait to hear from her. When you do, you assume she wants to see you and you make a date. So she reaches out after basically being non-responsive for 2 days. And instead of just being like, hey, babe, great to hear from you. When are you free to get together? And making a date, he gives her a response that really doesn't apply in this particular situation. That response that you give in this particular case, hey, no problem, babe, when you figure it out, just give me a call and we'll set a date. That's when you try to set a date and the woman says, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure of my schedule, I don't know. And then she changes the subject. That's the response that you give her. And this is what happens. You don't know the information very well. You're getting all these different scenarios and you're going, I know Corey talked about that, but does this apply in my situation? If you'd read the book 10 to 15 times, you would know the proper response. And this is what happens. It's like it's like she's asking for an apple and instead you give her an orange. So after a week without contact, I texted her on Monday to see if she wanted to go out and eat this Thursday. And she says, are you serious? I'm sorry, but that last text you sent me really hurt my feelings. So in other words, she reached out and she's thinking, oh, I miss him, because she had time to wonder about him, think about it. Because remember, what she shared in her previous text was she's liking him, things are going great, she's really adoring him. But mentally she's thinking, but God, I remember how it ended 2 years ago. And that's the difficulty, that's the challenge, that's the problem when you're trying to re-attract somebody who you already have a history with, especially history of screwing up with them and turning them off. It's because what's different about if this was somebody brand new, that he had just started dating for the first time, she wouldn't have all those bad memories and those bad emotions that she'd be thinking about. And so he does the wrong thing, gives her the wrong response, and all it does, instead of making her feel good, it makes her feel negative towards him. And since she felt bad about the whole situation, that's why she did nothing. Because she felt like basically he blew her off. Remember, women aren't going to call you and ask you out on a date. They're going to call you and do things like she did. Hey, what's up? Hey, sorry I haven't got back to you. Now keep in mind, she didn't reach out. She kind of ignored him for a couple of days. But once she missed him and realized, wow, he's not coming forward. Not that she's thinking this or saying this, but she realized, I haven't heard from him. He hasn't reached out. Because he hit the ball over the net and he waited to hear from her. And when she reached out, instead of making a date, he gives her the response for a different type of situation. It doesn't apply to his particular situation. So after she says, this hurt my feelings, he says, this caught me completely off guard. I explained it was not meant negatively, and she said, well, I'll think about it, which means no in woman speak. To which I replied, sure, take your time and text me so we can set a fun date when you're ready, which aggravated her more because you're basically saying the same thing. Saying, you just pushed me away and I have to text you? That's just stupid. I briefly tried explaining my good intentions, but she turned off her phone. Well, you did give her the proper response in this case because now you're trying to set a date, but at the end of the day, she's already negatively feeling that, and then you give her the same response. So all it does, and so she's reacting emotionally to this situation. She's not thinking rationally. But in this particular case, what you should have done was nothing. You should have waited to hear from her, and then when she got in touch, you should have made a date. You got to be congruent with your words. And that's part of the problem. He says one thing, and then he does another. And that's working against him. He says, I decided to take, and so look what he does next. Now he goes into like super stalker mode. I decided to take the hour drive to her the following day to go and break down the wall she put up. Again, he learned a little bit of relationship stuff, but he's not in a relationship. He's trying to re-attract an ex. So she pushes him away, ignores him, turns her phone off, and then he runs after her, which is more weakness. And when you act weak, all it's going to do is cause her to become even more bitchy and pissed off. He says, I did text her that I was coming over, to which I obviously got a negative response. I took the drive anyway, and she left her house saying she had to work, which simply isn't true. I was sitting in my car in front of her house, and I texted for a while, making it clear I understand why she was hurt, and I apologized for not being more considerate before sending the text. She told me to leave, saying it was rude to just come over unannounced, and she can't even look at me right now. I jokingly said, if I'd asked, she would have turned me down anyway. Not amused. You're going all wrong about this. I'm in a different stage now for talking. You'll hear from me when I'm ready. Sounds a little bit of like she's a control freak. So you're kind of giving your power away and she doesn't like it, and she's just misbehaving even more. It's like you're kind of in the flat spin, and the more you pull back in the stick, the tighter the flat spin gets, and then eventually you pass out and you lose consciousness and your plane blows up. Crash and burn. He says, after her constant insisting, I decided to leave after 25 minutes. I wasn't going to stay outside begging for an hour. So what do I do now, coach? Abso-fucking-lutely nothing. Walk and never look back. Assume it's over and that you're never going to hear from her again. If she ever reaches out in the future, say, hey, babe, it's great to hear from you. I'd love to see you. When are you free to get together? And if she doesn't want to make plans, or she's like, well, you need to come here, just say, no, I already came there and you blew me off. If you'd like to see me, you need to make the effort and come here. It's been a long week. I'm just in the mood to hang at my place. If you don't want to come over and make dinner together, then give me a call in 2 to 3 weeks, and maybe I'll be up for something more formal then. Because at this point, now she needs to come to you, because you drove all the way there and she's like, fuck you, bastard. I can jerk you around and do whatever I want and be an asshole to you. It's like, he fucked up, obviously, but she made it worse with her behavior of just pushing him away. So at this point, she needs to come to you, and her attitude needs to fucking change. So she gets in touch, try to make a date at your place, and she says, no, why don't you come here? Why don't you pick me up? Why don't we meet halfway? Just say, no, it's been a long week, and I'm just in the mood to hang at my place. If you don't want to get together, then give me a call in 2 to 3 weeks, and maybe I'll be up for something more formal then. And if she bitches at you and goes, are you serious? You're pushing me away. It's like, I tried to make a date, and you don't want to do it. I'm tired of you trying to jerk me around. I want to see you. I adore you, but I'm not interested in being treated this way. You're being rude. You're being disrespectful. You're being selfish, and you're being inconsiderate, and I'm just not interested in you treating me this way. So if you want to come over, let's make plans. If you want to be pissed off and try to punish me, I don't have time for this bullshit. You're a great girl, but I'm not going to put up with this. We have too much history together, and I deserve to be treated better than this. Granted, I've made mistakes. I've owned up to it, but it's like if you want to just keep punishing me, that's not fun. I want to get together, and I want to have a good time. And you're not making it easy for us to get together and have a good time. So what would you like to do? You want to get together, or you want to be mean? It's up to you. I'm cool either way. And let her go. She needs to come to you for at least the next 2 to 3 dates. Hang out, have fun, and hook up at your place. Because once she realizes, and at this time when you tell her something like that, you got to be congruent with it. You can't go, oh my God, it's been a week, I haven't heard from her. Let me start blowing her up. Let me show up at her doorstep and act like a weird, creepy stalker. I mean, you saw that shit didn't work. You drove all the way there, and she's like, fuck you, you bastard. You can kiss my ass. I wouldn't fuck you if you're the last man on earth. That's her fucking attitude toward you. So, fuck it. She can have the gift of missing you. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.